Hi, this is Deekshit from the Avaya Serviceability Engineering team. In this video, we will look at how to add a coverage path for an extension in Communication Manager. Call coverage defines what happens to an incoming call to an extension. An extension can have up to 6 alternate answering points that can include an extension itself, a hunt group, a coverage answer group, a remote number, a VDN, or an attendant. The call coverage criteria can be based on whether the user is busy, the number of rings, redirection of all the calls, external and internal calls get different treatment. Now let's look at a demo of how to define a coverage path in Communication Manager. To begin with, we are logged in into the SAT prompt of the Communication Manager. We give the command add coverage path next. As you can see, the system assigns the next available coverage path. In our case, it is 1. We will now define the various parameters for this coverage path. Hunt after coverage. If this is set to yes, the call will cover to the hunt group defined for the last coverage point and follow the hunt treatment defined. Next path number is an optional field that defines the next coverage path to which the calls are redirected in case the current path's call criteria does not match the call status. Next, we have the coverage criteria. As you can see, we can define different treatment for internal and external calls. Active would mean that calls redirect if at least one call appearance is busy. This, as you can see, is applicable for multiple call appearance phones. Busy would mean that calls redirect if all call appearances that accept incoming calls are busy. Do not answer would be when the calls will redirect when the number of rings that are defined in this particular field are exceeded. In our case, as you can see, it is set to 2 rings. Next is all. So regardless of any criteria, all calls will be redirected to coverage. Next, we have do not disturb, sender calls, and go to cover. So if these fields are set to yes, then these features can be used. Next, we have holiday coverage. As you can see, if we set this to yes, we have to define a holiday table. And what this does is essentially redirects the call to coverage if the time and date defined in the holiday table is matched. Next, we have terminate to coverage points with bridge appearances. This allows a call to alert both as a bridge call and a redirected call. No skips the coverage point if it has alerted as a bridge call. Point number 1 here, now we will define the coverage points. So point number 1 here can be an extension. In our case, it is extension 1000 with the number of rings defined as 3. Point number 2 can be defined as a remote coverage point. In our case, it is R1. Point number 3 can be a coverage answer group. For example, it is C1. Point number 4 can be an attendant. So we type in as ATDD. Point number 5 can be a hunt group. So in our case, we define it as H1. Point number 6 we have defined as a VDN. Please note that VDN needs to be prefixed with a V. Also, the VDN can be the last point in any coverage path that you define. We hit F3 to save the changes. Now that we have added a coverage path, we will now add this coverage path to an extension or assign this coverage path to an extension. So we do change station 2000. and we define coverage path as one that we have just defined. We hit F3 to save the changes, and this concludes this demonstration. Thank you for your time today. We welcome comments, questions, and feedback at mentor@avaya.com or on Twitter at Avaya Mentor. For more details or related information, please visit support.avaya.com. Thank you for choosing Avaya.